Good evening, everyone. We are joined, welcome to the Law Buildings and Code Enforcement Committee. We are joined by committee members, Councilmember Keegan, Councilmember Conti, and Councilmember Clark. We are also joined by President Pro Tem Kimbrough. This evening we are discussing Ordinance 26-10125. An ordinance amending Chapter 231 of the Code of the City of Albany by adding a new Part 7 thereto requiring disclosure of beneficial owners of limited liability companies and other entities that hold residential property in the City of Albany. It did have an amendment to it, so we decided we would come back in and vote it out of committee. Councilmember Kimbrough, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. So there were some requested amendments by the committee at your last meeting, and we had Mr. Winter make those adjustments. As far as I can tell, they looked like what was requested. But I know Mr. Conti has some questions. He sent an email out, basically. And I kind of prepared an email response, but I ended up not sending it. And I mean, I can go through what I have here, just working off of what Mr. Conti said in his email. And I'm sorry, the public doesn't have the benefit of knowing what was there.
Perhaps, maybe if we started with Mr. Conti's questions and then you could answer them. And I was remiss in not noting that our staff, we're also joined by Carly Johnson, Robert Wenner, and I know that Shaniqua Jackson and Brian Jimenez are also here. So Mr. Conti, if you wanted to ask your questions, then maybe Mr. Kimbrough can answer them.
Yeah, so just let me outline some of the questions I had. So what the proposed ordinance does is establish within the city clerk's office a registry with identifying information for LLCs. My question was, some of this, and it appears to be not totally duplicative, but the existing rental and building registry in the building department already collects some of this information, and it's a registry that's already existing. And so one question was, why, instead of creating a separate registry in the city clerk's office, why not build on the existing registry in the building department, which collects some of the information that this local other registry will create, and why have it housed in the city clerk's office versus having it in the building department where the other registry is located? And then you do have the building department or the commission building director actually promulgating the regs for the registry in the city clerk's office, which, you know, again, usually the city clerk would do that, although it would be done in consultation with the clerk. But again, so my big question is, isn't this a better fit by building on the existing registry in the city clerk's in the building department, rather than creating a separate registry in the city clerk's office? Because there seems to be some duplication.
Okay,
So that's the basic gist of what my questions were.
Right, okay, yep. And so on the redundancy, I mean, there is some overlap, but the information that's collected under Part 4 of the rental registry, it's registered owner, responsible agent, but it doesn't identify the LLCs, corporations, partnerships, or trusts, which is what we're trying to get at here. So it's different.
Right, but that can be incorporated into the existing ones. Yeah. That was my question.
Right, okay. So, and then with that, why should it be in the clerk's office, the city clerk's office? I think when you talk about transparency, it's what the clerk does. She keeps records. and, processes filings, manages public access to documents that are public. They handle redactions. I don't know how well the building department is with all of that stuff. And keeping the registry with the clerk, it separates the record keeping from the enforcement. So do you want the building department collecting all of this stuff and doing the enforcement? I think it's a bad idea to do that. And it just sets us up for people to point fingers and say they're being targeted and things of the like. Did you want to say something, Mr. Winter?
Agreed on all of that, and would also just note that the key element added here that's not covered already is the beneficial ownership information specifically. So it's not just information on a company and its registered agent, which is already collected by the building department, but it's information on who's behind that registered agent, who's behind the company, all of the people with a certain ownership threshold. That's the kind of information that I think this ordinance aims at getting in the hands of tenants that is not currently addressed. And the redundancies there are not of the type that would be uncommon for any filings that are being made. You're going to have to give address and company name and phone number for an agent for any filing that you're making. It's common for those redundancies to exist.
Okay. So my question is not, it's not a question of collecting the additional information that is not currently available. It's a question of building on the existing registry to include that information rather than creating the second one, which has some potential duplication from the previous one. So that's it's only consolidation. By the way, I just noticed that the ordinance, it amends Chapter 231, but the ordinance is written so that the language is all amending Chapter 359. So there's a drafting error here that needs to be corrected. I'm not sure if those are probably the same, but yeah.
Councilmember Keegan?
I think, thank you. I had some similar concerns to Richard. If the purpose of this legislation is to provide more accessible information to the public, it would make more sense to me that it would be information that would be available through the Citizen Self Portal, because we already have a structured way by which tenants can look up information regarding a property that either they're planning to rent or are currently renting, that gives them the full history of code violations, so on and so forth. Then you have a second database that gives us all of the information about the registered owners or taxpayer of a particular property. And now we essentially would be creating a third repository. To me, it just becomes somewhat confusing to members of the public to have to go to multiple different places to find information about the same parcel, if that makes any sense to you, Councilmember Kimbrough. And like Councilmember Conti, I don't have a concern with the purpose of the legislation or the idea that we would collect this information. It's just a matter of where it lives, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Again, I fall back on what I just said about them collecting the information. I mean, people have it, think that the building department has it in for them on the daily. We get complaints to that effect on the daily. So having them collect the information and do the enforcement, I think, can it be done? Absolutely. But I think people would have a problem with that. And again, as far as that public portal, if you go to MapGeo or any one of the Citizen Self Portal, all you get is, if it's an LLC, that's where the information stops. If the LLC is what's registered in the city, that's where the information begins and ends. You search, it's not John Q. Public or Kelly Kibrow that owns that address. It's the LLC, and then, good luck with trying to track down the owner. And again, I get what you guys are saying about how, so you want to house it in the building department. That seems to be what the,
If I could also just add another layer that a lot of times when we are looking at a home for different initiatives, it's not, obviously the public interaction is a very important part, but also the bandwidth of any specific city department is another part of it. And this was something that the city clerk's office did feel that they could take on, perhaps it is something the building department could take on. It was something that when we checked in with codes, that was something that they noted that the information would be a good thing, but it also, because it did not require any additional workload on them, they were completely fine with it. So it's just another layer of things that we can obviously evolve, but the actual workload is another piece of it. And I just also want to note that Councilmember Hoey is also here. Councilmember Keegan.
And then I also had a second question about the legislation. It specifically talks about residential property, and I think this is really more a question for you, Robert. Sorry, I know you're over there at that table. Was the intention that this would include all residential property, including both commercial and residential? And does it matter whether we specify or not? Because we do have different separate classifications of property, both which include housing.
I don't want to speak to the intent of the legislation. Kelly, if you want to just weigh in on that point.
I didn't know if we had to make a distinction or not between the two. I just thought all properties would be treated similarly.
Yeah, with that
based
in
on
mind,
the law.
I can, run that down. I don't think that we'll need to change the language, but if there is one, it would be a minor tweak to that sentence.
I mean, you do provide a definition here. My concern is that we do have distinctive definitions between what defines residential versus commercial housing. So I just want to make sure that that definition doesn't blur the lines elsewhere.
So, yeah, okay. And again, if we're talking about corporations, and I mean, I know a family can have an LLC or a trust to protect the property, but typically it's going to be a corporation for-profit would be commercial as far as I'm concerned. Right, no, I said I understand that families protect property, and I think even some homeowners, owner-occupied places, cover them with LLCs also. I've seen that done before.
Councilmember Clark.
Yeah.
Those are all my questions.
Thank you. And I apologize to the committee. I know I wasn't here the first time this was discussed, but I believe the beneficial ownership interest was part of a federal requirement, Corporate Transparency Act, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but I believe it's been challenged. I think it's been held unconstitutional. I don't know what the status of that litigation is, but I do know for companies that I worked with, it's not something that's in force now, because there was a time where LLCs were going to have to provide that information during a certain time frame, and that was suspended. I don't believe it's being enforced right now. So I have a little concern that BOI is not being, was attempted by the federal government, and it's not currently being enforced, and then we're creating this at the city level while that's kind of been suspended. So I have a concern there. I do appreciate the intent to understand who the actual owner is and who the contact person is, but I don't think we need 25% owner and their date of birth to be able to find the right person to contact if there's an issue. So I'm not in favor of this legislation as it stands right now, but those are my comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Conti?
Does this also apply to owner-occupied residential properties?
I would say no in a general sense, but if they had an LLC, I think it could possibly. Mr. Attorney, can you chime in over there?
Sorry, I was just running down the CTA concerns. I think that with the administration change early this year, there was a lack of a push for enforcement there, and that may have impacted the court cases as well. At the moment, enforcement has been limited to only certain companies and has been delayed. As written, I believe, yes, for owner-occupied residences owned by an LLC, yes, enforcement of this would still exist. But because of the difference in information available to tenants and non-tenants, the information that is being filed with the city would be available to the city and to the owner who's occupying the space and not to others.
And everything within the registry would be public information?
I'd have to ask the lawyer, but I think it'd be a public record, right? So.
Right.
Because by design, the way I have this laid out in my head, it's obviously the municipality has access to all of the information. Tenants have access to the information that they would normally have in a landlord-tenant relationship, which wouldn't include dates of birth. So I think for our public information purposes, I think we would be allowed to redact like dates of birth and things of that nature.
Well, there's nothing in here that would appear to be not subject to disclosure.
Well, say that again, Richard.
I mean, there's nothing in this amendment that suggests anything is not subject, unless there's other provisions in FOIL laws in terms of personal information that might not be subject to disclosure.
I know that was discussed at the previous committee meeting. I think that the city clerk's office, especially through its responses to FOIL requests, is already in the habit of redacting any identifying information where it's not essential or appropriate to be disclosed. I think based on the conversation at the previous committee meeting, that was the intention for this as well, that the information available to a tenant would be different than the information available to other members of the public, and that something like date of birth is not something that would be disclosed freely to anyone requesting it.
It looks like we ended up with more questions than answers, or the answers bring more questions, which is fine. So I don't think we're going to get through this, so which is fine, as long as at some point we finish this and get it on the
Councilmember
books.
Clark has his hand up. Go ahead.
I would just like to see us get to the intent, which seems more that we have a contact person, that we have a phone number, that, and whether or not that's a manager or a majority membership owner, you know, do we require the LLC to have a local agent, you know, that can accept service or communication? I just think we'd be better served kind of limiting it and getting to the point of why we actually want to know the information.
And that's already a part of the code, actually, the
In the existing registry,
Local-
which I'm
local
suggesting we should. yeah.
agent, yeah. But that's, maybe we can add something to the existing code to require
And then if
additional.
the- Yeah, and then if the federal government enforces the Corporate Transparency Act, then that gets back to, at least it's in a financial data crimes database somewhere, but I don't know. I have a hard time if the federal government's not even doing it to have the city clerk or building department collect the same information.
So perhaps what we could do is, Councilmember Kimbrough, maybe you could check in with the building department and see if this is something that the current registry could be amended to add in the basic contact information. Councilmember Clark, if you would be able to like just jot down the things that you had just said, and send that to Councilmember Kimbrough. Maybe if people are open to it, we could consider doing this again in 2 weeks and
Yeah.
potentially move it
Mm.
before, if we did a 6 o'clock meeting before the
Yep.
caucus again.
Okay,
And just again, as I said, the title is amending Chapter 231 Housing with a new Part 7, but the actual language is all amending Chapter 359, which I think is Vehicle and Traffic. So,
Right, we can fix that drafting error and recirculate tomorrow. I also just want to note that on the question of redactions, I think someone asked where they were addressed. Under 359 3B3, it's under disclosure requirements, the city clerk maintains a secure beneficial ownership registry accessible to, point 3 is the public with sensitive personal identifiers redacted. So it does leave some, you know, ambiguity, openness to interpretation on behalf of the city clerk as to what those personal identifiers are going to be as far as public disclosure. But that's something that they're already in the practice of handling and interpreting when it comes to FOIL requests anyways. That's the space where you'd see things like dates of birth, other identifying information of beneficial owners redacted when the information is distributed to a member of the public that's not a tenant.
Excellent. So, Carly, I have a majority of law committee meetings or members who say that they can be here at 6 o'clock before our next meeting, which is the 15th, I believe. Okay. Excellent. Well, if there is not, then we would love to do a law committee meeting to discuss this, and if not, then we can certainly figure out a different time. Excellent. Well, thank you all so much, and we will adjourn the law committee meeting to allow caucus to begin.
Okay, members, take your seats so we can get started. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday, December 1st caucus and work session of the Albany Common Council. It's our work session prior to our regular meeting. Mr. Jimenez, please call the roll.
Adams. Anane. Valorn is absent. Clark.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Flynn. Frederick. Hoey.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Keegan.
Here.
Kimbrough.
Here.
Love. Robinson. Zamer.
Here.
8 present. We're also joined by Council President Corey Ellis, City Clerk Shaniqua Jackson, Corporation Counsel Robert McGee, Research Counsel Robert Winter, Legislative Director Brian Menez, Junior Policy Analyst Alyssa Kamara, and Junior Legislative Aide Carly Johnson. And our esteemed Treasurer, Darius Shonfar.
Okay, thank you. So jumping right in to the agenda, we're going to start with a couple of public hearings. It's a public hearing on ordinance 178225 by Mr. Bowron, ordinance 25-10125 by Mr. Anani, and ordinance 61-11125 also by Councilmember Bowron. We may or may not be taking up those pieces of legislation pending the outcome of the public hearings. Next, under minutes from previous meeting, I'll be offering the November 17th meeting of 2025 meeting minutes for approval. Under local laws, we'll be taking up local law held, local law C of 2025 by Ms. Frederick. It's a local law in relation to salaries of elective officers. We'll be voting on that. Next, local law F of 2025 by Councilmember Zamer. It's from the Commission on Monuments, and it's in relation to the scope of the Commission's responsibilities for the Monuments and Arts Commission. Okay, that's it for local laws. And under ordinances introduced, we have ordinance 62-121 25 by Councilmember Anani. It's ordinance amending Chapter 251, produced in relation to prohibiting smoking products and limiting their proximity to at-risk populations. That's going to be a referral to Council's Law Committee. Then next, for introductions, Mr. Ballorin's ordinance 63-121-25R to the USD amendment in relation to affordable housing. It's a referral to planning. Then next, under ordinances held by Mr. Conti, ordinance 2091-25, so ordinance amending Article 13 is parking meters, 359. It's in relation to renaming Columbus Day to Francis Xavier Cabrini Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. That's pending an amendment, and it's under consideration. And next,
Can I just ask if everyone is okay with that, since we just have very few members here? Thanks.
that last was Mr. Conti's ordinance 2091-25.
It's the changing Columbus Day to Cabrini Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day. Okay, thanks.
Okay, back on ordinances held, ordinance 25-10125 by Councilmember Nani. It's an ordinance, a USD ordinance. And it's in relation to changing zoning and the parcels 540 Myrtle Ave. It's changing the zoning classification that's under consideration for 540 Myrtle Avenue. The next, we are, my ordinance 26-10125 was slated to be on pending amendment, but we're just gonna hold that, so we're not gonna do anything with it. The next on to resolutions introduced. Maybe I can invite our treasurer up here to fill in some blanks for us.
All right, so what we have here today is, we do this every year. We are, and you are voting on re-levying unpaid charges onto individuals' tax bills for 2026. I think we have had a list that is on the individual resolutions at this point. I'm not sure if you have them. I can read them off to you if you'd like. Therefore, illegal trash, for board ups, for cleanups, for snow removal, for property maintenance, tree work, demolition charges, 2025 waste collection fees. So those are waste collection fees that are on people's bills in 2025 but remain unpaid. Every year, so you'll pass a resolution that has the number we have here, $155,747. Because the tax warrant is still open until the end of December, many people do pay their tax bills at the end of the year. And so the number that we actually will re-levy as a tax onto people's bills for next year will go down as people pay their bills, which include the waste collection fees for 2025. We also have omitted taxes from 2024 of $26,877. And you'll probably recall that about 3 or 4 years ago, we started to collect omitted taxes on properties. They are taxes, so if someone buys a property that has a tax exemption, think of, say, for example, a church that is bought by a private entity, or a house that has a senior tax exemption on it. The property is immediately subject to losing that exemption and therefore owes taxes on that property going forward. It's something the city had not done, but could have, but should have probably done, and can do. And so we initiated that practice about 3 or 4 years ago to raise some revenue for the city. What we do, however, because we don't want people to come right into the city and say, "Congratulations on owning your new home. Here's your tax bill." So we don't want to make it too difficult. So we at least give them a chance to pay that bill during the year they bought their houses or the year before they bought their house. And if they don't pay it at the end of the year, we'll then re-levy it on the next year's bill. So these are 2024 omitted taxes that were on bills for last year. They were not paid. The taxes from 2024, they were not paid on bills this year, so we're re-levying it as a tax for next year. So they don't get charged any extra penalties or fees or anything like that until now, until this point. We have over $5.2 million in delinquent water charges that we're adding on for this year. It's a little bit higher than previous years. The water department says that's based on increase in the water fees this past year, but also actually re-levying larger charges that they sometimes don't levy, and that they generally deal with the water consumer separately, but this year they're putting them on the bills. And then we have the bid assessment amounts. You can see they're individually. So this is what we do every year, and I'm not sure if anybody has any questions.
Are these the correct numbers?
Those are the correct numbers, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Functionally, what can happen is that they will reduce by the end of this year, but from a tax warrant perspective and for your duties here, once you pass this, unless you pass something different in 2 weeks, we can go down in what we charge people, but we can't go up above this.
Ms. Frederick?
These are just being intro this evening, or you want them to be introed and passed?
I prefer them to be passed this evening, but as long as they're introed, I think it's okay, and we can do it in 2 weeks. I prefer to have everything kind of tied up in a bow right now, so we can send this to Albany County and say, okay, County, you now can get your resolutions together, because they have to pass the same things at the county level. And I think their meeting is next week, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're trying to get these done as early as possible.
We also have a finance committee meeting on December 9th that I know you'll be present at, and then our next council meeting on the 15th, if that's correct. So if passed on the 15th, would that be sufficient?
It would be sufficient, but again, the county would really prefer to have the resolutions in hand as early as possible, and I think that if you could pass it tonight, that would be optimal. We'd survive if not, but we'd be going to the county with, well, they haven't passed it yet, but here it is, so.
Are members okay with passage this evening of the 3 resolutions?
If others are okay, I think it's okay. So it
Okay.
sounds like we're in support.
Yeah, it's really more of a ministerial function. You know, I have the backup for you if you want to see who's not paying their water bills and whatnot.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
sure.
All right, and so that covered resolutions 133, 134, and 135. Next, on to resolution 136 by Mr. Conti, resolution of the council declaring the City of Albany lead agency for the seeker review of Washington Park Complete Streets and Transportation Improvement Project. We are, I
Yeah,
think,
just a quick question. Then we have a resolution at the following meeting regarding actual findings, or is that come later?
What?
Okay. So we're doing lead agency tonight, and then in terms of adopting, do we have to adopt actual findings? Is that at the subsequent meeting, or is that at some point later? Or am I not clear? In other words, is there additional action after this? That's the question. And that would,
I don't believe there's any additional action on the council's end, but we would still have to release a seeker document to the public.
right, and that is not something the council adopts, or is that?
Oh, actually, yeah, sorry, it would negative declaration, positive declaration, or one of the other options as well.
So that would
Yeah.
be at the, presumably at the next meeting?
We can confer with Corporation Counsel further on that.
Or it can be in the next council, in other words. I just wanted to make sure we're,
Yeah, we would have to just
Okay.
confer with them, sorry.
Yeah, I can't speak to the specific timeline. There are 2 steps. First,
Right.
you declare yourself lead agency, and then you make a secret determination. It can happen in the same meeting. It doesn't look like that's what's been proposed in this resolution, though.
okay, so possibly the next meeting. Okay, thanks.
Okay, next, We have a resolution by Mr. Hoy, 137, 121, 25. It's a resolution of council appointing Michael Logan as a member of the Community Police Review Board. Be moving forward with that. Next, also by Mr. Hoy, Resolution 138, 121, 25R. It's a resolution of council appointing Joshua Singletary as a member of the Community Police Review Board.
Kelly?
Yep.
Yes, we have both Michael and Joshua here tonight, and I also wanted to ask, would there be any way we can move this in the agenda to right after the moment of silence, so they could be here for the vote, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of public comment tonight.
Yep, we'll move it.
Thank you. Do you want to have them speak at all to the council? Do we have enough time, or?
I mean, yeah, what time is it? Yeah, we're towards the end of this. Mr. Logan, we'll start with you. Just an introduction, let members know why you're interested in being a part of the Community Police Review Board, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for considering me. My name is Michael Logan. I've been in the Albany area about 30 years now. I served on a lot of boards. I served as, doing a lot of things in the community. And I think I'll be a good member of the board because I really understand what both sides need, the administrative side and the city of Albany. I've done a lot with some of the mayors in Albany and did a lot with some of the grassroots organizations in Albany. And I think I can be a fair and equal mind when it comes to judging instances that go on with police officers.
Any questions for Mr. Logan? Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Logan, for your willingness to participate. Mr. Singletary?
Good evening. My name is Josh Singletary, resident of Albany for about 10 years. My wife and I are very present in the community. We try to be involved in a lot of different ways. And I was happy to respond to this call to help fill these vacancies because I feel like this board serves an important purpose, but it can't serve that purpose without a caucus. And the work that was just described also intersects with some of my professional expertise in thinking about complex process and how we process data and how we find consensus to improve a system. So I'm excited to put my name in and help if I can. Thank you.
Any questions? No? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Our two newest members of the Community Police Review Board. Next, Mr. Conti's Resolution 139, 121, 25R. It's a resolution of council recognizing and designating the public interior space of City Hall for clarity and historic accuracy. So, you want to say anything about this atrium versus rotunda?
Sure. I was actually going to do this back in 2021, but I didn't get it going, so I thought I'm not going to pass it up this time. I think it's self-explanatory in terms of the actual architectural designation. And I've got a lot of positive feedback on it from people who said it's about time, but it's just kind of like, black and white. And the resolution does really lay it out. So I don't know if anyone had questions on it or...
Any questions? We'd like to...
Otherwise, I'd like to be able to move it forward.
Like to move it tonight, so, good.
Okay.
Gonna get rid of the rotunda and get ourselves the atrium? Okay.
Thanks.
So we should be good. Okay, next, by Mr. Ballerin, I got two resolutions held, 129, 11125. It's a resolution of council reappointing Gabriela Cepeda Mora as a member of the Sustainability Commission, and I'm not familiar with it. Is she here? Who's on planning? Tom, will you do these, because Mr. Ballerin's not here? It's oh, you know what? I skipped the MC. Hold on. We'll back up 1 second. We need to add an item by majority consent. It's by Mr. Conti. It's Resolution 141, 121, 25. It's a resolution of council recognizing World AIDS Day and affirming the City of Albany's commitment to vigilant support and remembrance. Mr. Conti.
Did you do Resolution 140 by Mr. Flynn on an introduction?
No, I skipped two. I'm working off of two documents here. So you hold on for a minute.
Okay.
Everything changes. Come in here with a set that I've got marked up, and I end up getting one that I have to remark. So Mr. Flynn's Resolution 140, 121, 25. Resolution honoring the life and legacy of Molly Finney Larson, Molly Quinn Duffy, and James William Larson, and renaming the portion of Sycamore Street in their honor. It'll be a referral to the General Services Committee.
Can you add Tom Hoey as a sponsor, as he's a relative of Molly Quinn Duffy, please?
Make Mr. Hoey, I'm sure there'll probably be some other folks want to, but make Mr. Hoey a prime. Okay, now for majority consent. Mr. Conti's resolution on World AIDS Day, it's 141, 121, 25R. Mr. Conti?
Sure. Today is World AIDS Day, so it's appropriate to do the resolution today. That's why I'm asking majority consent. Didn't get it in prior, but it's the resolution similar to what we've done in the past, recognizing today is World AIDS Day and remembering those who've died and those who are still living.
Okay. All right, moving on to resolutions held. Resolution 129, 111, 25 by Mr. Ballerin, which will be moved by Mr. Hoey. So a resolution, the council reappointing Gabriela Sabeda Mora as a member of the Sustainability Commission. We'll be moving forward with voting for that. And then next, also by Mr. Ballerin, Resolution 130, 111, 25R, resolution of common council reappointing Jody Schmitz Anderson as a member of the Sustainability Commission. We'll be moving forward with that as well. So that's it for the agenda. I skipped something along the way. We received communication from the mayor on a veto of, I just had it right here.
Actually, it's not a veto.
It's not a veto. She's not signing it.
Oh,
so
it's not, okay.
It's going into law, so it's not. It's not something that we necessarily.
Have to read
Again,
down to the third paragraph.
I just got that and I didn't get to read it. So since I can't find it in my pile, we're gonna, during the communications from the mayor portion of the agenda, we'll have our city clerk read that. Thank you. And I think that would be it for the agenda. Right on time.
Call to order tonight's Albany Common Council meeting, Monday, December 1st, 2025. To order, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Present.
Anani. Ballerin. Clark.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Farrell. Here. Flynn.
Here.
Frederick.
Present.
Hoey.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Keegan.
Here.
Kimbrough.
Here.
Love. Robinson. Zamer.
Here.
11 present, 4 absent.
Can you please rise with me and say in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And first off on our agenda tonight is that we have a public hearing. Notice of a public hearing. During the public hearing part, well, I'll get to that. I'll have the clerk read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that a common council public hearing will be held on December 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. and will be held in advance of the potential passage of the following ordinance. This meeting will be an in-person meeting in the common council chambers, City Hall, and will be held on the following matters. Ordinance 178225, an ordinance amending Chapter 375 Unified Sustainable Development Ordinance of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to exceptions for vehicle fueling stations.
Does anyone sign up for this ordinance, public hearing?
No.
Anyone wish to be heard on this public hearing? Seeing none, this public hearing was deemed closed. Madam Clerk.
In ordinance 25-10125, an ordinance amending Chapter 375 Unified Sustainable Development Ordinance of the Code of the City of Albany by changing the zoning classification of the parcel known as 540 Myrtle Avenue, tax map parcel number 65.77-2-47, from residential 2-unit R2 to residential multi-unit RM, and amending the zoning map accordingly.
Anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Not at this time.
No one wish to be heard at this public hearing? Public hearing is deemed closed. The next one, please.
Ordinance 61-11125, an ordinance amending Chapter 375, City of Albany Unified Sustainable Development Ordinance of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to parking lots in MU-FM zoning district.
So anyone signed up for this public hearing?
Not at this time.
Anyone wish to be heard on this public hearing, on this matter? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. And that will be all for our public hearings tonight. We'll move on to Mr. Kimbrough. I think you have two resolutions you'd like to make a motion on.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to take resolutions 137, 12125, and 138, 12125 out of order.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Sorry. Is it 135?
37. Holy.
Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 137, 121.25R and ask for its passage.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council appointing Michael Logan as a member of the Community Police Review Board.
Discussion on this resolution. Mr. Hoey.
Yes, the Public Safety Committee met and unanimously approved with a positive recommendation, Michael Logan be put on the CPRB.
Thank you. Further discussion on this resolution. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Clark.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Flynn.
Yes, co-sponsor.
Frederick.
Yes, co-sponsor.
Hoey.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Keegan.
Yes.
Kimbrough.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Zamer. Yes. 11 in the affirmative.
The resolution passes. Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 138, 121, 25R and ask for its passage via a roll call vote.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council appointing Joshua Singletary as a member of the Community Police Review Board.
Discussion on this resolution. Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety Committee met and unanimously approved Joshua being, with a positive recommendation, being put on the CPRB.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Clark.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Sparrow.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Flynn.
Yes, co-sponsor.
Frederick.
Yes, co-sponsor.
Hoey.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Keegan.
Yes.
Kimbrough.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Zamer.
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Congratulations. Thank you. And before we'll move on to our regularly scheduled on our agenda, I would like to recognize our state senator, Pat Fahey, would like to say a few words, address the body. Ms. Fahey. Thank you so much for being here, Senator.
I will be brief, and I know this is not your last council meeting of the year, but I can't make the one in a couple of weeks. And I just didn't want the moment to pass to thank so many of you who are leaving at the end of this year for your extraordinary service on countless, countless issues. So starting with Council President Corey Ellis, as well as Council Members Frederick, Council Member Love, Council Member Robinson, Council Member Conti, who this is a couple of times I think I've said thank you and goodbye, so who knows, and Council Member Clark. I don't think we often take enough time to appreciate the sacrifices. I believe we're public servants first and foremost, and each of you has been great to work with as well as the rest of the council. I know how challenging this work is, and I have so appreciated your support on a host of initiatives that I have also worked with you on and helped to champion. And I must say, between the $400 million that I was so happy to support that the governor has offered and we have adopted, between the 787 work with many of you signed resolutions in support of over the years, and whether it's the road work, capital city funding, which I know is always a challenge each year, my work on Harriman campus, that in Wadsworth that you have all supported. And then I know it's very popular, but the school speed zones, which are effective even if not popular. So it's really been an honor to work with each of you on so many of those, and I know that's just the shortest of lists. So your work has not gone unnoticed. You will be missed. I'll probably be here next month to welcome in a number of the new folks. And Councilmember Kimbrough, I didn't add you on the list because I know you're still going to be here, but it really was a good excuse. You've been very much on my mind, and the issues are more challenging each day, not less challenging. So I appreciate when I text, call, reach out, look for support on a resolution or a home rule message, which are very important. I remember when you had to come back into session, I think a year ago, on a home rule message to a special session, but it made the difference. So thank you. And I'm not saying goodbye because I know all of you will continue to be involved. All of you will continue to serve the city, and look forward to working with your successors. And I'm quite sure you'll all stay involved in the city. And I'm just on a personal note, while I represent 3 very large counties, and my district now goes out for an hour and a half, this is where I live, and this is my passion. And I have to say, I have never been more optimistic about the future of Albany. We've had extraordinary challenges. We're going to continue to be challenged, but I'm grateful to the governor, and look forward to working with each of you on a whole host of initiatives. Just heard about another one for Albany earlier today, which is also very encouraging. So we are on the cusp, I believe, of a number of positive changes. That doesn't mean there won't be a lot of hard work and challenges ahead. But I just want you to all know my door will continue to be open, and I hope each of you will remain involved and look forward to the continuing partnership, including with each of your successors. So thank you and all the best for the holidays. Thank you. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Senator. Before you go, I'd just like to thank you for pointing out the things that you've worked with on the council, especially 787, getting that study done. That was monumental. Thank you, and I wish you well on something that I'm going to be following. I'm pretty sure everybody will be following the Harriman campus. Your steadfastness on making sure whatever happens there becomes part of that community, and that the city is not isolated outside of the developments that's going there. So I wish people would really pay attention to this, because I think it's so important that our senator and our state elected officials are going to need your support on this to make sure that the increase of the Harriman campus benefits those neighborhoods and the people who live in this city, where it's not cut off from the city, but a part of our city. And I thank you so much for your tireless work on that.
President Ellis, I truly appreciate that. It's few issues, local issues, have frustrated me more. Yep. And I should add, again, I live here, but I also believe when we get it right and what we do here in Albany resonates throughout the region, it does build a stronger region. And while there's a lot of focus on downtown and the nearby neighborhoods, I do believe we can do both and really look to the future. So thank you again. Much appreciated.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Now we'll move on to public comment period. During the public comment period, we have, during the public comment period, you'll have 5 minutes to talk about any subject you wish to speak upon. At that time, council members cannot answer your questions or respond to your questions or statements. If they choose to do so, they will do so at a later time during the agenda. When you come, just state your name. You don't have to state your address, but just state what city or town that you live in for the record. And the light will be green, and then yellow means you have 1 minute remaining, and red means conclude your comments. With that being said, can the clerk please call the first speaker?
Deborah Calera.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Deborah Calora. I'm Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of United Tenants of Albany. I'm here to talk about the proposal to weaken inclusionary zoning, and we were here 2 years ago fighting for it, and you voted for it, and now I'm hearing that there's a plan to weaken and dilute inclusionary zoning, and I'm here to tell you, please don't do that, and thank you for the members here that are going to support the original plan. This proposal to weaken it raises the income level that inclusionary zoning serves from low income to medium income, and it grants developers a buyout mechanism. And we all know developers already get tax subsidies. Why are we giving them more? We need to protect tenants in Albany. We need to protect working people, working families in Albany. This deal isn't done yet, and I'm urging council to hold strong and not weaken inclusionary zoning, protect the tenants of Albany, and people that will follow me will be much more articulate, but the ask is very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Can the clerk please call the next speaker?
Nancy Perini.
Good evening, Nancy Perini. I live in Albany. A couple of weeks ago, I heard that the inclusionary zoning was greatly weakened, and it sounded like it was a deal that was kind of caught people off guard in the council, and which seems like that isn't the way you would want to do business, to catch your fellow council people off guard. And some of the changes were really horrible. I think making it easy for developers to buy the way out of making housing affordable to people is ridiculous. As the previous speaker said, they get lots of tax incentives. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I understand that there is a new amendment to that to counter some of those effects, and I hope that you do, because while this amendment actually doesn't impact me personally, I'm a homeowner, I do want to live in a city that works for everyone. I do want to live in a society that works for everyone. And it's really important to me that we have a city that's affordable to more people, and that there isn't easy concessions for developers to get out of making housing work for more. So that's my comments, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. Can the clerk call the next speaker?
Eduardo Hernandez.
Hello, Council. My name is Eduardo Hernandez. I'm a resident of Albany. I'm also a member of the Citizen Action Council here in Albany, New York, in the Capital District. And I'm here also to discuss inclusionary zoning. And first off, I want to speak a little bit about what took place on November 17th. That vote that went through, really disappointed. I mean, I'm so disheartened in the way that that came about and the way it was pushed through. I think that Nancy had alluded to that it seemed like what was put before the council in a way that, to your constituents, felt like it was pushing something by so that we wouldn't realize what was taking place until after it did take place. And those changes, I think, are grossly just punitive to the residents of Albany. Looking back, this is something that was passed by the council. And I'm going to quote a council member who said that, quote, "We did this not because it felt good, but because it was the right thing to do." And then now here we are a couple of years later looking for ways to reverse the right thing to do. Nowhere in that, reversing that is not multiplying rightness. It's tearing down something that was right and putting something that's wrong for economic benefit understood on the city and to get developers in here. The issue is that we have a system here where developers have been able to play different constituencies, or different municipalities against each other and look for who is going to be able to provide them the most money. And when they don't get their way, they take the ball and they go home and they just don't play anymore. And that's where we are. And by weakening inclusionary zoning, what we've done is we're kowtowing to their interests above the interests of your constituents and the people in the city. Working class people aren't living their life in a way that is going to make developers more money, and these developers understand that, so they're going to do everything they can for money and not for people. Another thing that was mentioned, Nancy had mentioned this too, look, I was a homeowner at one point. I had sold my home. I now rent, and I see that stark difference on being a renter and being a homeowner. And I am every year at the whim of my landlord on whether or not I'm going to have a place to live. Actually, this past November, my lease just came up, and for the first time in many years, I had anxiety for a month or two before that, thinking, geez, what if they decide to raise this rent to a level that I can't afford? Or what if they decide that they don't want me here anymore? Me and my daughter would be scrambling to find a place to live. And that would take away from me being able to do the work that I do and to be able to provide for my family in a way, because all of my efforts would be focused on trying to find a place to live. And that's not, and Nancy said it, that's not the kind of society that I want to be a part of. And I think that we have to really look at these changes that were put through and think about whose interests we have in mind moving forward when we make changes, especially to something as important as housing, which is a basic human right, we should all agree, and that's absolutely going to negatively impact people in this city. So that's what I have to say. I'd like to yield the rest of my time, and thank you for your consideration on this.
Thank you so much, sir. Can the clerk please call the next speaker?
Ian Butler.
Good evening. Ian Butler. I live in Albany, have for the last decade, member of Ward 9. Honorable members of the Common Council, I am yet again forced to defend efforts to promote inclusivity in Albany. Weeks ago, I explained that the mayor's efforts to pressure this council into repealing inclusionary zoning were misguided and deeply harmful to the city. Regardless, a bill was presented that would do just that. I urge the council to vote no on Councilman Clark's proposal, and we must preserve our inclusionary zoning initiatives. Albany is a unique city and not always in a good way. As a longtime resident, I've seen it firsthand. It's impossible not to. Albany's most shameful secret is its long history of segregation, and I find it absolutely unconscionable that in the 21st century, in 2025, our city still consistently ranks in the bottom quarter of cities for racial equality, not just New York, the entire country. The legacy of redlining in West Hill, Arbor Hill, and South End is very much alive in our city. Yet we're debating the removal of the one small step this council has taken to mitigate the problem. And while the practice of redlining is legally gone, those areas are still economically depressed compared to neighboring districts. The highest concentration of abandoned properties exists in those 3 neighborhoods. These are people who would rather abandon a home than occupy it or rent it. Imagine the most expensive asset that most people fortunate enough to have the opportunity to purchase will ever have abandoned. These formerly redline districts show property values on average only about 2/3 of that of neighboring neighborhoods. And then we come to income. Albany's household median income is just $59,485 per year. The poverty rate stands at over 23%, but that doesn't even tell the whole story. Albany's white households have median incomes of over $70,000, while our African American neighbors have median incomes of just $42,000, almost half. So it's no surprise that even after redlining officially ended in the 70s, literally generations ago, we still see its effects here today. These market rate units that are being developed with 2-bedroom family units priced at over $2,000, it makes it impossible for our neighbors to live in these areas. $2,000 a month in rent means that a median income African American family would be spending over 60% of that income on rent alone. The median white family, on the other hand, would be paying about 30% or more, which is still high, honestly, but still. The implication is extremely clear. Some people simply aren't welcome. In contrast, decades of studies point towards racially and socioeconomically integrated neighborhoods as improving outcomes for all their residents. These neighborhoods have lower crime rates, and children grow up to have a better standard of living than those in more segregated areas. One 2016 study even shows that over 20% of the income gap between black and white adults is due to the level of segregation present in the county in which they grew up. This is staggering. Desegregating Albany should be one of, if not the highest priority. And no one can pretend the existing law is enough to combat the problem, and it's definitely not without its issues. However, Councilman Clark's proposal and another purported compromise bill, which I understand will be introduced today, would seek to allow developers to circumvent what little effort we've already made. Regardless of the specific numbers, both bills can easily be summed up as, if you only want rich white people in your building, just pay us a little bit of money and we'll look the other way as we continue to perpetuate the legacy of segregation in this city. This is shameful. Sure, the money can be earmarked for affordable housing and homeownership initiative, but it ignores the core issue at hand, desegregating the city. And we cannot afford to conflate these points. And the existing law is far from perfect. We can make improvements. For instance, an income audit of individuals renting the affordable units would ensure that the targeted units actually go to those who would benefit. We can expand the effect of this law and demand that the hundreds of millions of dollars in funding coming to Albany be put towards formerly redlined neighborhoods and their abandoned properties. We can fund grocery stores to eliminate the food deserts in these areas, and we can make life better for all of our neighbors. Ultimately, 2 years of the current law is a drop in the bucket when compared to 50 years of redlining and the decades of neglect that we've put into these neighborhoods. Evaluating the effect of inclusionary zoning in its infancy without looking at the totality of its purpose is not only misguided but irresponsible. To advocate for its removal, given the embarrassing history of our city, is utterly shameful. And anything other than a no vote on either proposed bill amounts to the acceptance of the status quo in one of the most heavily segregated cities in the country, a deeply shameful act entrenching the divide that exists in Albany.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Can the clerk please call next speaker?
Maria Markovitz.
Maria Markovitz. I'm, again, haven't moved since 2 weeks ago, so I'm still at 38 Myrtle Ave. Housing for All was really outraged by the November 17th vote to allow the Clark Amendment to go forward. If it becomes law, I mean, it will totally gut the inclusionary zoning in Albany. You know, we want you to keep the 2023 inclusionary zoning policy in place. But if negotiations are at a point where that's not going to happen, to ensure that inclusionary housing continues to be part of Albany's housing policy, we do support the proposal introduced by Ballerin, Kelly, Kimbrough, Johnson, Anani, Farrell, and Hoey. It's a compromise and it's not perfect, but it does keep inclusionary zoning in place. And by that I mean it does not allow developers to opt out completely from the affordable unit set aside. And that's the important concept in inclusionary zoning, that it recognizes that there has to be a set aside for affordable housing. So the Clark Amendment totally allows developers to buy out of inclusionary housing completely. The Ballerin proposal does reduce the number of minimum affordable set-asides to 5%. But it does not allow developers to opt out, and that we think is important. The Clark allows really developers off the hook for $5,000, depending on what year they go back to $10,000 per unit. The Ballerin proposal does mandate that developers have to pay $25,000 per affordable unit based on the 2023 set-aside requirements. So we think that's important. That'll put a lot more money into a fund which is earmarked 75% for tenant programs and 25% for homeowner programs. It also, it raises the affordable, the Ballerin amendment raises the affordable income limit for 60 to 70%. The Clark amendment raises it to 100%. I mean, there's no point of having an inclusionary policy if you're talking about 100%. So, you know, again, the preference is keep the 2023 in place. But if we're at a point where that's not going to happen, and you all know that developers get tons of money, millions in sales tax exemption, property tax exemptions, mortgage recording exemptions, and you know that they need to give something back to the community. The Clark Amendment really lets developers off the hook for a pittance. The compromise proposal, while not perfect, at least tips the scale toward fairness for the community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Can the clerk call next speaker?
James Giacolone.
Good evening. My name is James Giacolone. I live in the 2nd Ward. I was here 2 weeks ago on November 17th to talk about this. I'm here again today. I am guessing, you know, the numbers and the logic didn't get you last time to not vote for the amendment on the Inclusive Housing Act. So I am sort of just here to talk about, well, 2 weeks ago you said, oh, this isn't perfect, this isn't a perfect amendment, but you know, we're opening the conversation because we need to do something and we want to change this. I guess this is the first step of that conversation, is this new ordinance, this new amendment. It's a little bit better. At the end of the day, it still paves the way for the money that's coming in from the state to be spent building housing that is more expensive than it otherwise would be. I'll say it again, when you build new housing that is more expensive than the existing housing, you drive up everyone's housing. You don't solve the problem at all. You have to build housing that is less expensive than the average housing around it to make affordability happen. But if we can get 70% of median income instead of 100%, that's a little bit better. Yeah, so 2 weeks ago you said you wanted a discussion. Here's that discussion, pass it through so you can talk about it, I guess. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, please call next speaker.
Kenyon Ryan.
Hello, my name is Kenyon Ryan. I am the Executive Director at United Tenants of Albany, and I live at 25 North Pine Avenue. Like a couple other speakers, I was here 2 weeks ago, and like every speaker so far, I was also very disappointed with the process to getting us to the new amendment that passed on the 17th. One of the big complaints that we brought to y'all at that time was that there was no dialogue to get us to that proposal. There's been many opportunities to have conversations, and we were never able to actually sit down and hash out what a compromise could look like. And sometimes something is not better than nothing, and in this case I would say that something was a lot worse than nothing because it actually took us steps backwards compared to where we were in 2017. Because as we mentioned, and I just really need to emphasize this, the area median income going from 60% to 100% for inclusionary zoning units completely obliterates the whole point of inclusionary zoning. The 2017 version was the Albany median income, the city of Albany median income, which was comparable to 60% of the area median income, which is in the 2023 version. To raise it to 100% of the area median income for inclusionary zoning units under the Clark Amendment would mean that a 4-person household would be paying $2,900 per month on rent. A 1-person household would be paying $2,032 per month on rent. That is compared to the 60% area median income, the original version of 2023, which was $1,200 for a 1-person household and $1,700 for a 4-person household. Again, that difference is magnitudes. It is over $1,200 for a 4-person household, or for a 4-person household with that area median income. That is not inclusionary zoning, right? That no longer are low-income households benefiting from this proposal. Developers will not need to pay the measly $5,000 per unit because they can just charge $2,000 at the 100% area median income, which is $300 more than what is the fair market rent now. So nobody benefits from this version other than, of course, developers. And also $5,000 to $10,000 per unit it's nothing, right? It's really nothing. It's very small. So the proposal that is being introduced today actually came as a result of dialogue. Really frustrating, long, within a week, it's true, it was rushed, but it was less rushed than the original version that passed through with a weekend's notice, with hours' notice to many council members. This version took a week to hash out. None of us are happy about it, right? I basically had a mental breakdown after a week straight of having all these conversations because it is exhausting, but it's important because we have to come to some kind of conclusion about what a compromise would look like. Now, if we had the opportunity to have dialogue, many of you are probably on the Housing for All email list, you would know that months prior to this passing, with hours' notice, Housing for All was already trying to open the conversation about what compromises could look like because we could read the writing on the wall. This proposal now is a result of that dialogue. We talked to many common council members, we talked to tenant advocates, we talked to tenants themselves, we've even talked to developers. Does this make more sense? Raising it from 60% to 70% of the area median income means that for a 1-person household, the rent would go up about $200. So that's $1,422 for a 1-person household at 70% of the area median income. That is $50 less than the fair market rent for a 1-bed. It's affordable, it's more affordable than 100%, certainly. It's not that inclusive, but it's something. It's something for low-income people to benefit from. It's not a handout to developers. It's a big compromise, though. It's a big compromise from where we are. The $25,000 per unit alteration from the Clark to the Ballerin et al. Amendment, that's a big sum, but developers will put that into the cost up front of the development expense, of their upfront capital that they need. They can put that money aside, and then that money will actually, $25,000, you can do a lot more with that per unit than $5,000 per unit. We're talking if it's a 100-unit development, we're talking the difference between $40,000 and $400,000. A lot more you can do with that money, and developers have that capital to put up front. We, in this new version, ask for 75% of the money to go to tenant initiatives. That's because the prior version doesn't mention tenant initiatives. It talks about homeownership programs. You can't get rid of inclusionary zoning that's going to benefit tenants and then filter all of that money that is going to be, all this generative money that developers are going to give us. You can't put that into higher income tenants who are now going to be able to buy houses. We're trading off low-income tenants for high-income tenants, and I know that there is a racial disparity between homeownership, but we are a majority tenant city, and we need to stand with tenants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Charles Robinson.
It definitely was an honor to hear this man speak earlier, considering that I'm 65 years old.
For the record, Mr. Robinson, your name and...
You know who I am.
I know.
Everybody in this room know who I am. Let's not play them games, because you part of the problem. You people been down here as long as that mayor been down here for 12 years. I'll bet anybody on this council that her net worth from the time at the beginning when she became mayor, she was a millionaire. Now she's worth $100 million. How did that happen being a mayor? I wonder how that happened being a mayor. How did it happen being a mayor? She's on her way out the door. She comes down here in the month of November. She only got 30-something days left. And she gets y'all to change a law that was beneficial to the people? But that's been going on for years. That's been this body, when it came to this mayor, y'all had no balls. None of you. Only one person, Mr. Johnson, here and there. Y'all literally supported her, everything that she brought in front of you. The building department, the ordinance and laws that was put in place that really, we already was experiencing redlining. We already experienced white flight. Y'all pass ordinance to make people literally lose their homes. You put the building department in the poorest neighborhood in Arbor Hill about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago. And all that building department did was came to homeowners with the pettiest, you can't do this, you can't do that. Here's a fee, here's a fine. Here's a fee, here's a fine. But before I go, I say this. The pandemic hit in 2000. The federal government print money all day, paper money, all currency. I give it too much weight if I call it money. They print currency all day, every day. What's the difference between currency and money? You go to work for money, they give away currency. Because they know the people that they give the currency to gonna give it right back to them. The rich get richer and the poor get poor because of the system that's in play. The system that's in play. For y'all to allow her on the way out the door to finagle y'all to change something that you already came up. It just shows. It just shows. And a lot of y'all's leaving. I'm glad to see you go, because you was part of the problem. You wasn't part of the solution. The people voted you into this position, and everybody came down here and act like that lady interviewed them for the job. She never interviewed you for the job. The people voted you in there. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. But in Albany, New York, I never experienced that. I'm like, I got constitutional rights? I don't got no constitutional rights. That's only on the surface, man. I've been dealing with integration, segregation, redlining. I mean, my whole life. My friends, oh, I'm living a dream. This ain't no dream. This our reality. And they got their foots in the, we just gonna stand for this? This is reality, man. And this body ensured that this mayor is one of the richest people in the country right now. All thanks to COVID. Nobody watched the $85 million that she got passed. If I ask any of your common council members where that money went, nobody knows. Come on, man. I'm glad to see you go.
That concludes our public comment period for this time. So we'll move on to our next items of our agenda. Approval of minutes from previous meeting. Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll offer the November 17th to 2025 meeting minutes for approval.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved from previous meeting. Moving on to considerations of local laws. Local laws held, I mean. Ms. Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice local law C of 2025 as amended and asks for its passage by roll call vote.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the local law?
A local law amending section 42-263, annual salaries elected officials of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to the salary of elected officials.
Is there any discussion on this local law? Seeing none? Will you raise your hand, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I'm just going to be out in front on this. I won't be supporting this. I feel that at a time when the city is, our message to the city is that we need some resolve, a bunch of stuff that is counter to what I came to this body. And, just to further cement it is we have public comment and, people come in here and they tell us how they feel, and very rarely do I ever see that stuff turn into things on the agenda that, what I would think that public comment should contribute to. If someone came and had a concern and a bunch of concerns, the next meeting I would hope, and so I don't want to get long-winded on the subject, but I just feel uneasy with us getting a raise when, a lot of times, the message that we project sometimes is that we can't do stuff. And so I just wanted to speak to this because I spoke against the cuts that the city is experiencing in terms of services, and it's just not a good feeling knowing that in a time when assessments are going up and people's taxes are going up, that we are entertaining giving ourselves a raise. So I'm gonna stand on that, and thank you for the time.
See no further discussion, Mr.
I
Flynn?
just want to ditto Common Council Member Johnson's words. Thank you.
Thank you. See no further discussion, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
No.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
No.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
10 in the affirmative, 2 no.
Local law passes. Continue on, local laws held, Ms. Zamer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice local law F of 2025 and ask for its passage.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the local law?
A local law amending Part 41, Commissions on Monuments and Public Arts of Chapter 42, Departments and Commission of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to the scope of the Commission's responsibility and authority.
Any discussion on this local law? Ms. Zamer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly, this law refines the responsibilities of the Commission. The original framework included some unrealistic requirements of the volunteers, including sophisticated digital resource development and coordination across municipalities. So this law narrows the Commission's mandate to more realistic functions and focuses on city-owned property and matters that fall under the city's jurisdiction.
Thank you, Ms. Zamer. Further discussion? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Local law passes. Moving on to any reports of any standing committees. Seeing Ms. Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Law, Buildings, and Code Committee met this evening to discuss Ordinance 26-10125. It was not passed through committee. We had a lovely discussion on it and look forward to potentially discussing it again before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn?
Thank you, Mr. President. The General Services Committee will meet at 5:15 this Wednesday to discuss Resolution 140, 12125R in honor of the Larson family, and 62, 12125 about smoking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee will be meeting on December 9th at 5:30 in our chambers to have a discussion on our debt for the city, as well as the bond ordinances for the budget that we passed.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Tomorrow, the Housing Committee and Community Development Committee will meet to discuss on how to move the money in a direction that was set aside for housing. I was informed today that there's no pathway for it, but I'm hoping that we can figure this out, because money set aside shouldn't go without a plan to utilize them. When we set aside money and we don't have a plan to utilize them, we're just giving the money back to the general fund, so it makes no sense. And I'm disappointed to find that out today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Safety Committee will be meeting on December 15th at 6:15, and we're going to be inviting Chief Cox in to give us an update on the incident that was distributed on social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Now moving on to ordinances, considerations of ordinances. Ordinance introduced, Mr. Ernani.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice ordinance 62-120-125R and ask for its introduction.
Can the clerk please read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending Chapter 251 Parks and Recreation and Chapter 232 Streets and Sidewalks of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to comprehensively prohibiting smoking products and limiting their proximity to at-risk populations.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's referral to Council's Law Committee.
Thank you. Continuing on, ordinance introduced. Since Mr. Bowles not here, is Mr. Kimbrough or somebody?
Mr. Hoey.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I notice ordinance 63.121.25R and ask for its introduction.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending Chapter 375 Unified Sustainable Development Ordinance of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to adjusting the affordable housing requirement and adding exceptions to the affordable housing requirement.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a referral to Council's Planning Committee.
Thank you. Now moving on to ordinances held, Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice ordinance 20.91.25, move its amendment and request passage.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending Article 13 parking meters of Chapter 359 Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the City of Albany in relation to renaming Columbus Day to Francis Xavier Cabrini Day and Indigenous People Day.
Before we vote on this, is there anyone objections to the amendments to this ordinance? Okay, seeing none. Can the clerk please?
Adams.
Is this on the amendment or?
Sorry. Yes, sorry, Mr. Conti. The amendment is passed. Now move on to discussion on the ordinance. Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. In brief, this ordinance, as it came out of the Law Committee, recommended by the Law Committee, does two things. It replaces references in City Code to Columbus Day, to Francis Xavier Cabrini Day, and Indigenous Peoples Day. The original impetus behind Columbus Day related to a focus on Italian-American immigrants in the late 1800s, 1890s, and their treatment. However, Columbus is really a distraction from the real purpose, and identifying a symbol more emblematic of the heritage and the struggles of immigrants back then. Francis Xavier Cabrini, who was herself an immigrant and worked among immigrants, is more appropriate to focus on what those issues were. And also, it helps us focus on the plight of modern-day immigrants, so it has a double impact. And it also would bring in Indigenous Peoples Day as a celebration as well, so we are doing both Cabrini Day and Indigenous People Day in place of Columbus Day, which I think is a much more better fit for the intent and what we're trying to do. So I would ask my colleagues for support on this ordinance tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Conti, any further discussion on this? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Present.
Anani.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Flynn.
Yes.
Frederick.
Yes.
Hoey.
Yes.
Johnson.
Present.
Keegan.
Yes.
Kimbrough.
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
10 affirmative, 2 present.
Ordinance passes. Continuing on, ordinances are held. Mr. Anani?
25-101.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice ordinance 25-101.25 and ask for its introduction. Oh, it's passage.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending Chapter 375 Unified Sustainable Development Ordinance of the Code of the City of Albany by changing the zoning classification of the parcel known as 540 Myrtle Avenue, tax map parcel number 65.77-2-47 of the from residential 2-unit R2 to residential multi-unit RM, and amending the zoning map accordingly.
Discussion on this ordinance. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Yes.
Anani.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Frederick.
Yes.
Hoey.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Keegan.
Yes.
Kimbrough.
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Ordinance passes. Continuing on, ordinance is held. Mr. Kimbrough?
Where are we?
26?
We're holding.
Oh, we're holding that? Okay. All right, Mr. Kimbrough, since we're not doing that one?
I got you. What, 26?
Yeah, we're holding it.
Yeah, we're,
Okay,
okay,
so-
yeah, I already said that, so I thought we were just gonna skip it.
No.
Could-
Yeah, so we're
Can
done
we,
with the
can we
ordinances.
hold my ordinance 26-101-25?
Thank you. All right. Moving on to considerations of resolutions. Resolutions introduced. Ms. Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to introduce Resolution 133-121-25R with the following amendments. Bear with me. First, dollar figure under be it further resolved, second page, $3,625,328. Second dollar symbol to be $3,625,328. Going down into the waste collection fee table, unpaid 2024 fees amend to $155,747. Omitted tax for unpaid 2024 tax bills being $26,877 for a total of $26,877. Department of General Service levy, board ups to be $22,907. Illegal trash, $435,031. Snow, $27,810. Property maintenance trees, $11,178 for a total of $496,926. And finally, demolition for an amount of $2,692,581, and then a total of $2,692,581.
Any discussion on the amendments? Any of those opposed to the amendments? Seeing none, amendments passed. Now, any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to ask for a roll call vote on Resolution 133-121-25R as amended.
I thought you did that. Can I have to read it? Okay. Please read this resolution.
A resolution of the Common Council authorizing the levy upon properties in the City of Albany for unpaid charges of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, Department of Building and Regulatory Compliance, and the Department of General Services.
Call the roll.
Adams.
Yes.
Anani.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to introduce Resolution 134, 121, 25R with the following amendments. At the $2 symbols, including a figure of $5,276,750.43.
Is there any objections or discussions on the amendments? Amendments pass. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 134, 121, 25R is amended and asks for its passage by roll call vote.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council authorizing the levy upon properties in the city of Albany for unpaid water and sewer charges.
Any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative. Excuse me.
Resolution passes. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for introduction of Resolution 135, 121, 25R with the following amendments. Fifth whereas for the Lark Street bid budget to be a figure of $101,417. Sixth whereas for the downtown bid budget to be $739,024. Seventh whereas for the central bid budget to be $625,082. Next, now therefore be it resolved, dollar figure to be $1,465,523. That same figure to be repeated in the next, be it further resolved. And then finally, that same figure, $1,465,523 to be in the next, be it further resolved, ending with, again, repeat the Lark Street area bid amount, $101,417, Downtown Albany Business Improvement District, $739,024, and Central Business Improvement District, $625,082.
Thank you. Any discussion or opposing the amendment? Seeing none, amendment passes. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 135, 121, 25R and ask for its, as amended, and ask for its passage.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council authorizing the levy of 2026 Business Improvement District bid charges and authorizing the treasurer to place such charges on the 2026 city tax bills.
Discussion on this resolution. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Continue on, Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 136, 121, 25R, request passage and a vote thereon.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council declaring the City of Albany to be lead agency for the State Environmental Quality Review of Washington Park Complete Streets and Transportation Improvement Project.
Discussion on this resolution. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Mr. Kimbrough, we have a MC? We have MC?
139.
Yeah.
Oh,
You ready?
Mr. Conti?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 139, 121, 25R, request passage and a vote thereon.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council recognizing and redistricting redesigning the public interior spaces of Albany City Hall for clarity and historical accuracy.
Discussion on this resolution, Mr. Conti.
Yeah, in brief, Mr. President, this simply does what it is. It recognizes the interior space of City Hall, which we have referred to as a rotunda, as what it is, an atrium, and it would designate that space an atrium moving forward.
Any further discussion? Mr. Johnson.
I hope that doesn't limit us. I think that this place needs some updating. I think that when people come here, they feel like, it's not a welcoming space for people. So I'm hoping going forward that there's some thought put into making this more people-friendly and not stuck on keeping a look that is outdated. When I go to the county legislators meeting, it just seems so much more comfortable in there and welcoming to people that participate in their business. So I hope that going forward that this doesn't put handcuffs on the ideal of updating this space. Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Just a general question as to what is the purpose of this?
Did you not read the resolution, Mr. Adams?
I read, but what does that then do?
It changes the name. It's long overdue. This is not a round building. It's an atrium. It's not a, what's the name? So that's basically what it's calling it, what it really is. Designed, how the design of it, what it really is, an atrium. It's not a, what's the name? Rotunda.
Okay.
That's what it's doing.
All right.
It's in the resolution. Mr. Conti?
No one else. So, excuse me, it doesn't change the use of the space. It doesn't preclude any, as Mr. Johnson indicated, more adaptive, user-friendly use of the space. It's simply a designation, an architectural designation of the space as to what it is, as opposed to what it has been called for whatever reason. And I've gotten a lot of feedback on it from people who have said it's about time we do it. But that's all it does. It's dealing with architectural illiteracy and designating the space as to what it is, which is more appropriate for the building, and that's all it does. It doesn't preclude any type of use, reuse, or making it more friendly or anything like that. So, thank you.
What took so long? With that being said,
That's what people ask.
Can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams?
Yes.
Anani? Clark?
Yes.
Clark? Oh, thank you. Conti?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Hoey?
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keegan?
Yes.
Kimbrough?
Yes.
Yes.
Zamer? 12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Mr. Flynn?
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 140, 121, 25R, and ask for its introduction.
Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution honoring the life and legacy of Molly Finney Larson, Molly Quinn Duffy, and James William Larson, and renaming a portion of Sycamore Street in their honor.
Thank you. Mr. Kimbrough?
Thank you, Mr. President. Referral of Council's General Services Committee.
Any relation to the People Duffy Cab Company?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. Just thought I'd ask. Continuing on, resolution, Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to add Resolution 141, 121, 25 by majority consent.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Sorry, Tom. Tom seconded that. Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer Resolution 141, 121, 25R, request passage and a vote thereon.
Thank you, sir. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
resolution of the Common Council recognizing World AIDS Day and affirming the City of Albany's commitment to vigilance, support, and remembrance.
Discussion on this resolution, Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is World AIDS Day, and it's appropriate that we pause and recognize and remember those we have lost, as well as those still living with AIDS and HIV, and understand that the struggle still goes on. This is an issue that's important and personal to me, having it had impacted my family, and having known many friends and acquaintances over the years. We shouldn't forget that it's still an issue, and we need to remember, and the adoption of this resolution tonight will help us do that, I hope, and allow us to move forward. So I would appreciate your support tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conti. Any further discussion on this? Can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes, co-sponsor.
Frederick,
Yes, co-sponsor.
Hoey,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Johnson,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Keegan,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Kimbrough,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Zamer.
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Moving on to resolutions held. Mr. Hoey?
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 129, 111, 25R, and ask for its passage via roll call vote.
Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council reappointing Gabriela Sabata Mora as a member of the Sustainability Commission.
Discussion on this resolution. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes, co-sponsor.
Hoey,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Johnson, Keegan,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. Mr. Hoey?
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice Resolution 130, 111, 25R, and ask for its passage via roll call vote.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council reappointing Jody Smith Anderson as a member of the Sustainability Commission.
Discussion on this resolution. Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani, Clark,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes, co-sponsor.
Hoey,
Yes, co-sponsor, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. That completes that. Mr. Kimbrough?
Thank you, Mr. President. The rest of the resolutions on the agenda are held.
Thank you. And the miscellaneous, unfinished business, Mr. Johnson, and then Ms. Keegan.
Thank you. I'm gonna keep this brief, but as I said earlier, when we set money aside, I think that as soon as we set the money aside, we should create a path for that money. As I was informed today about discussions that we've been having in the Housing Committee, I think that we should have been informed that earlier. I shouldn't have to come to a meeting today and ask a question to be informed that what we are discussing as a committee is impossible. Like I said, when we set aside monies and we earmark them for housing, I think that we should have a crystal clear path to move forward to make sure that that money just doesn't pass and go unused in a budget session and only end it up in the general fund. So I'm asking that anytime that we set money aside, we should establish a path so that that money doesn't stay idle and don't reach the intended purpose. Thank you. And also, just in regards to the redlining and things that the South End has experienced, it's tough when you see people in possession of properties and they can't get a loan, but as soon as the property transfers in a different direction, all of a sudden people are able to get loans for that, for those properties. So that's stuff that paralyzes people's thinking and belief in the American dream of home ownership. You know, it's a lot of people that homes have been in people's families for years, and they have tried to conduct business with the banking industries and mortgagers and to no avail. And it's time that we address this. And just in response to people coming and talking about the changes that we made, I say that if you hold a person's head underwater long enough, they'll agree to anything to get air. And I think that we got choked out by a stance that we took that was in favor of the people and business. You know, just the way business happens. They took a stance against our move, and I don't think that what we did was right. And 25,000 is not a high enough number for me when the follow through on that. Who's going to make sure that these developers are held accountable? So that's the reason why I felt like $50,000 was suitable, because it would really send a message to them that you don't want to have that happen. So even with that money, we should have a path for how that money, and not just say it's going to be used for certain things, because real quickly those monies can turn out to be big totals, and we have no plan for it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to quickly respond to the concerns raised by Councilmember Johnson with regards to the housing money. That money was specifically appropriated during the budget process in 2024. It was specifically designated to the Common Council for the purposes of developing housing policy. The people that fought for that money to be put into the Common Council's budget did not actually begin to work on spending down those funds until late in the fiscal year, and then moved, as my understanding is, to reappropriate those funds for a purpose that was not intended through the budget process. So there were very specific outlined purposes for those funds, and they had to be used towards housing policy development on the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank my fellow council members for your support tonight of the two members for the CPRB. As you know, the CPRB lost its quorum at the end of October, so we went a full month. It was a short month, though. November only has 30 days. So we now have 6 members on the CPRB. There's still 3 members to be filled by the administration. Some of those seats have been empty for 2 years. And it's disgraceful. And next council, I will bring up legislation that if the administration doesn't appoint people to the seats, they revert back to the council. And we'll work on that. But again, I want to thank everybody for your patience and leadership. I mean, I can't tell you how many days we were over there on that corner working out hour after hour at lunchtime, trying to figure out how to move forward with the CPRB. And I finally feel confident that moving forward, this is going to be a good group, and thank you again for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just had a few comments, remarks to make in regards to some of the public comments, as well as some of the comments mentioned throughout the evening. First to start, I want to thank our Housing for All advocates and residents who came in to speak. Again, from our conversation from 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned, I think this is a much bigger conversation that is being grouped together, where we're looking at affordable housing for low-income people while also still trying to address the overall supply of housing for various people throughout the city. So there's 2 different things that have to be done here. But what I don't want to happen as this conversation continues to move forward is the narrative that there's council members working against or trying to water down legislation that we've all vocally and have gone out and supported. This is us getting activity going by Councilmember Clark introducing this legislation and having the conversation start. Prior to then, there has been no conversation in regards to housing, even after I've asked and other council members have voiced concerns about housing policies, housing issues, and housing related items. So I just want to encourage our residents, our advocates, when it comes to housing related items, there is a housing committee that is happy to listen, to assist with the concerns that you have. We have been here and we are willing to work with all groups and parties to get this resolved. That includes our developers, that includes city residents, that includes renters, that includes homeowners. This is an effort that requires all of us to work together and not just solely focus on one individual goal, but understanding that there's a much bigger goal that we're working towards and that there's going to be different phases of that process where we have to make decisions along the way in order to keep the ball moving. And this is just one of those things. The amendments made by or brought in by Councilmember Ballerin seem reasonable, but this is where the conversation can now continue to start from now that we've opened up the floodgates. So again, this is not the end-all be-all for residents to worry too much about, because we are all at the table and we're all trying to work things together with this current administration, the new administration coming in. We are looking for more positive dialogue, and I think that's going to happen. So please continue to give grace and understanding. And as we try to work through this together, let's continue to reach across the table and ask people to join us in this conversation. Thank you.
Ms. Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to note that for 2.5 years, I personally have offered the mayor over and over again to discuss the inclusionary zoning amendment, and leadership has offered over and over again to negotiate and discuss the inclusionary zoning amendment. So there has been a lot of outreach from the council to try to negotiate something. There was no interest from the administration, and it is incredibly frustrating that it was done in the way it was done. I'm glad that we're talking about it. I do think that it's important that we bring everybody together, but to say that there was not any action is inaccurate. There was no action from the administration and no interest from the administration. That's something that we really need to take into consideration as we're moving forward. And I also just wanted to note quickly, as we talk about the area median income, that number that we're talking about, the area is actually 5 counties. Everything in those 5 counties. So that's Albany County, Rensselaer County, Saratoga County, Schenectady County, and Schoharie County. So when we go to 100% AMI, that means we're talking about Saratoga Springs. What's affordable in Saratoga and what's affordable in Albany are 2 very different things, and we need to start thinking that way. We're not planning stuff for Saratoga, we're planning stuff for Albany. That's it, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. Mr. Kimbrough.
Yeah, want to beat a dead horse here? We're at the table, like Mr. Adams said. I would like to see members take an honest look at this latest version. I'm troubled by the way everything went down with with Mr. Hyde's amendment. But also, I'm troubled by the way it went down, but also the structure and what the actual content of the legislation. It's insane that, and not pointing fingers and not trying to come down on anyone, but folks that care about building this thing, making this work, looking out for the residents. We voted. We've stood together for years. We've been together for a couple of years dealing with this stuff, and in the end, to have it fall apart like this is shameful. It's actually hurtful, because people deserve better. I'll stop with that right there. But look at this latest version. It's not the end all, the be all, but it does a couple of things. It ties Mr. Johnson said that there was a problem with us not holding people accountable or people getting off the hook or something to that effect. This is tying compliance. It ties to their tax abatements that the Hyde Amendment allows for 2 years for payment to kick in. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. This new one is 90 days after the certificate of occupancy. Buy down, you can buy down for $25,000. $5,000 or $10,000 to buy your way out of providing affordable housing in perpetuity, and at the same time getting a tax abatement on the front end of that, it's a slap in the face. It doesn't make sense. I beg of my colleagues, take an honest look at this stuff. We can tweak it, we can move some things. It's not going to be perfect, but take an honest look at it. Developers can afford more. Developers can do more for our folks. And then also what the money's going to be applied for, 75% towards tenants and the rest for home ownership. These are clear instructions for how this is going to be utilized and how we're going to carry this out. It's not enough money, but it's a start, and please take an honest look at it and think about it.
It's in your hands, Mr.
Meeting adjourned.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Meeting adjourned.